Hey, listen up, because what I'm about to tell you is going to change how you see attraction forever. You've probably wondered why some guys have women who can't stop thinking about them, while others get forgotten the second they walk away. Why do some men create this magnetic pull that makes women obsess, while others barely register as a memory? Well, today we're diving deep into the psychology behind female addiction to certain men. And trust me, this isn't some feel-good bullshit. This is raw, unfiltered truth about what creates that unstoppable pull. See, most guys think attraction is about looks, money, or being the nicest guy in the room. But that's surface-level garbage. The men who create genuine addiction in women operate on a completely different frequency. They understand something most guys never figure out: how to become psychologically irresistible. And once you understand this, you'll never look at dating the same way again. So buckle up, because we're about to break down the exact blueprint that makes certain men absolutely unforgettable. Let's get into it. The first thing these men do is create emotional highs and lows that she can't get anywhere else. You know what addiction really is? It's not just wanting something. It's needing the feeling that something gives you. And certain men don't just make women feel good. They make them feel everything intensely. Think about it for a second. The guy who's always available, always predictable, always giving the same steady energy? He's like vanilla ice cream. Safe, comfortable, but forgettable. But the man who can make her laugh until her stomach hurts, then challenge her in a way that makes her think, then pull back just enough to make her wonder what he's thinking? That's cocaine. These men understand something crucial. Emotional variety is addictive. They're not trying to be her emotional support system. They're trying to be her emotional adventure. One day, he's the guy who makes her feel like the most important person in the world. The next, he's focused on his mission, barely giving her attention. And that uncertainty, that unpredictability, creates a chemical reaction in her brain. Dopamine. The same neurotransmitter involved in every addiction known to man. It's not released when she gets what she expects. It's released when she's anticipating what might happen next. And here's the kicker. The more unpredictable the reward, the stronger the addiction becomes. So while other guys are trying to be consistent and reliable, thinking that's what she wants, the men who create addiction are creating experiences. They're not her boyfriend. They're her drug. Another thing these men do is have a life that's bigger than her, and she knows it. Every woman has dated that guy who made her his whole world. Sounds romantic, right? Wrong. It's suffocating, and it kills attraction faster than anything else. The men who create addiction have something she can't fully access: their purpose, their mission, their drive. Women are drawn to men who are going somewhere, not men who are just existing. These guys don't rearrange their schedule every time she calls. They don't drop everything to be available. They have goals, dreams, projects that matter more than her feelings in any given moment. And that drives her crazy in the best way possible. Because here's what happens when a man has a life that's bigger than any one woman. She realizes she has to earn her place in it. She's not automatically the center of his universe. She's competing for his attention. And women love competition, especially when it's for something valuable. I'm not talking about being distant or cold. I'm talking about being genuinely invested in your own growth, your own success, your own evolution. When she sees that you're building something significant, when she realizes that being with you means being part of something bigger than just a relationship, that's when she starts getting addicted to the idea of you. Because most men orbit around women like planets around the sun. But the men who create addiction are the sun. And she wants to be in that orbit. She wants to be close to that energy, that drive, that purpose. These men also set boundaries that actually mean something. Look, every relationship expert talks about boundaries, but most guys set them like wet paper towels. They fold the moment there's any pressure. The men who create addiction set boundaries like they're carved in stone. And they don't apologize for it. When she texts him at 2 a.m. wanting attention and he's not available, he doesn't respond with some long explanation about why he can't talk. He just doesn't respond until the next day, when it's convenient for him. When she tries to start drama or create chaos, he doesn't engage. He doesn't argue. He just removes himself from the situation. And here's what this does to her brain. It shows her that his peace, his time, his energy are valuable resources that can't be taken for granted. Most guys sacrifice their boundaries to keep her happy. But that just teaches her that his boundaries don't really matter. Women test boundaries. It's not malicious, it's instinctual. They want to know if you're really the strong man you present yourself to be, or if you're just playing a role. And when you hold firm, when you show her that your word means something, that your standards aren't negotiable, she starts respecting you on a level most men never experience. And respect is the foundation of addiction. She can't become addicted to a man she doesn't respect. But when she sees that you respect yourself enough to enforce your boundaries, she starts seeing you as someone worth being addicted to. Another key trait is being comfortable with her emotions but not controlled by them. Here's where most guys mess up. They think being a good boyfriend means absorbing all her emotions, becoming her emotional sponge. But the men who create addiction are different. They can handle her storms without becoming one themselves. When she's upset about something, he doesn't immediately try to fix it. He doesn't panic. He doesn't take responsibility for emotions that aren't his. He listens, he acknowledges, but he doesn't let her emotional state dictate his energy. And that's incredibly attractive to women. Because here's the thing. Women want to feel their emotions fully. They want to experience the full spectrum of human feeling. But they also want to be with a man who can remain centered while they do it. They want someone who can be their rock, not their fellow victim. Most guys, when their girl is having an emotional moment, they either shut down completely or they get swept up in the drama. But the men who create addiction stay present. They stay calm. They show her that her emotions are valid without making those emotions their responsibility. And this creates something powerful in her mind. She starts seeing him as someone who can handle anything. Someone who won't break under pressure. Someone who can lead when she needs to follow. And that feeling of safety combined with attraction is pure addiction. These men also maintain their social value and options. This one's going to trigger some people, but it's the truth. The men who create addiction never become socially dependent on one woman. They maintain their friendships, their social circles, their options. Not because they're players, but because they understand that social value is attractive. When she sees that other women find him attractive, when she notices that he's respected by other men, when she realizes that choosing him means she's choosing someone that others want, that creates a psychological phenomenon called preselection. She starts seeing him through the eyes of others, and that amplifies her attraction. But here's the key. It's not about flirting with other women or making her jealous. It's about being genuinely valuable in your social environment. Being someone people want to be around. Because the moment she feels like she's your only option, the moment she realizes that losing her would leave you with nothing, that's when the addiction dies. Women are attracted to men who have choices, even if those men choose to be with them. And this is why guys who give up all their friends, all their hobbies, all their social connections for a relationship always end up losing the woman they sacrificed everything for. She didn't want to be his everything. She wanted to be his choice. There's also a sexual component to this. These men are sexually confident without being desperate. There's a difference between being sexual and being thirsty. And women can sense that difference from a mile away. The men who create addiction are comfortable with their sexuality. They own it. But they're not desperate for it. These guys don't beg for sex. They don't pout when they don't get it. They don't make their woman feel like she's responsible for their sexual satisfaction. They have a quiet confidence about their desires. And that confidence is magnetic. Because here's what happens when a man is sexually confident without being needy. The woman starts wanting to please him. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. She wants to be the one who satisfies this confident sexual being. Most guys either suppress their sexuality trying to be respectful, or they're so desperate for it that they make it awkward. But the men who create addiction integrate their sexuality into their personality seamlessly. They're not ashamed of what they want, but they're not dependent on getting it. And this creates a dynamic where she starts chasing his sexual approval instead of him chasing hers. And that reversal? That's pure addiction material. These men also have emotional depth but don't dump it on her. This is where a lot of men get confused. They think being vulnerable means sharing every feeling, every insecurity, every fear. But the men who create addiction are strategic with their vulnerability. They have depth. They have complexity. They have a rich inner world. But they don't make her their therapist. They don't use her as their emotional dumping ground. They reveal themselves in layers, gradually, deliberately. And this creates mystery. It creates intrigue. She knows there's more to him than what she sees on the surface, but she has to earn access to those deeper parts of him. And that process of earning access, that's addictive. Because most guys either shut down emotionally or they overshare. But the men who create addiction find that sweet spot. They're emotionally available without being emotionally needy. They're deep without being dramatic. Something else these men do is they don't try to save her or fix her problems. Listen, this is huge. Most guys, when they care about a woman, they want to rescue her from every problem, solve every issue, be her knight in shining armor. But that's not attractive. That's suffocating. The men who create addiction care about her, but they don't try to manage her life. They don't try to solve problems she hasn't asked them to solve. They don't try to save her from herself. Instead, they believe in her ability to handle her own life. And that belief is incredibly attractive. When she comes to him with problems, he listens. He might offer perspective if she asks. But he doesn't immediately jump into fix-it mode. Because here's the thing. Women don't want to be saved. They want to be supported. They want to be with a man who believes they're capable of handling their own challenges. And when she finds a man who sees her as strong instead of broken, as capable instead of needy, that's when she starts getting addicted to how he makes her feel about herself. These men are also present when they're with her, but not clingy when they're not. This is about quality over quantity. The men who create addiction understand that it's not about how much time you spend together. It's about how that time feels. When he's with her, he's really with her. He's not on his phone. He's not distracted. He's not thinking about other things. He's fully present, and that presence is intoxicating. But when he's not with her, he's not constantly texting. He's not checking in every hour. He's not making her feel like she needs to account for every moment. And this creates a dynamic where she starts looking forward to seeing him instead of taking him for granted. She starts missing him instead of feeling suffocated by him. Because most guys either ignore their woman when they're together, or they're so clingy that she can't breathe. But the men who create addiction master the art of being fully present without being possessive. Another crucial trait is that these men challenge her to grow instead of accepting her exactly as she is. Now, this might sound controversial, but hear me out. The men who create addiction don't just accept everything about their woman. They see her potential, and they challenge her to reach it. Not in a critical way, not in a way that makes her feel inadequate, but in a way that makes her want to become better. They have standards, they have expectations, and they're not afraid to express them. When she's being lazy, they don't enable it. They inspire her to do better. When she's making excuses, they don't just accept them. They challenge her to be more honest with herself. And this creates a dynamic where she starts trying to live up to his vision of her. She starts pushing herself because she wants to be worthy of his respect. And that process of growth? That's addictive. Because most guys either try to change everything about their woman or they accept everything, even the things that aren't serving her. But the men who create addiction see her highest potential and inspire her to reach it. These men are also unpredictable in their affection, but consistent in their character. This is subtle but powerful. The men who create addiction don't follow scripts. They don't have predictable patterns when it comes to showing affection. Sometimes he's incredibly romantic. Sometimes he's more reserved. Sometimes he's playful. Sometimes he's serious. She never knows which version of him she's going to get, and that unpredictability keeps her on her toes. But here's the key. While his affection might be unpredictable, his character is rock solid. His values don't change. His integrity doesn't waver. His core personality remains consistent. And this combination of predictable character with unpredictable expression creates the perfect formula for addiction. She can count on who he is as a person, but she can't predict how he'll show up emotionally, and that keeps her interested. Finally, these men have a vision for their life that's bigger than just being in a relationship. This is the foundation of everything we've talked about. The men who create addiction aren't just trying to find a girlfriend. They're trying to build a life. They have goals that extend beyond romance. They have dreams that don't depend on having a woman by their side. They have a mission that's bigger than just finding love. And when she realizes that being with him means being part of something significant, something purposeful, something that matters, that's when she starts getting addicted to the idea of building a life with him. Because most guys are just looking for someone to fill a void in their life. But the men who create addiction are looking for someone to share their already fulfilling life with. Now look, I want to be clear about something. This isn't about manipulation. This isn't about playing games. This is about becoming a genuinely valuable man who naturally creates attraction. Because here's the truth. Women get addicted to men who are worth being addicted to. Men who offer something unique, something rare, something that can't be found anywhere else. And if you're sitting there thinking this sounds too complicated or too much work, then you're missing the point. This isn't about doing more. It's about being more. Every single one of these traits comes from the same source: self-respect. When you truly value yourself, when you truly believe you're worth pursuing, when you truly know your own worth, everything else falls into place. You naturally set boundaries because you respect your own time and energy. You naturally maintain your social value because you understand your worth knowing. You naturally have a vision for your life because you believe your life matters. And here's what happens when you embody these traits. You stop chasing women, and women start chasing you. You stop trying to prove your worth, and your worth becomes obvious. You stop being afraid of losing her, and start being confident that the right woman will choose to stay. Because the men who create addiction aren't trying to trap women. They're trying to become the kind of men that women don't want to leave. And that's the real secret. It's not about making her addicted to you. It's about becoming addicted to your own growth, your own evolution, your own potential. When you fall in love with who you're becoming, when you get excited about where you're going, when you start living a life that you're proud of, everything else becomes secondary. The right woman will see what you're building and want to be part of it. She'll see who you're becoming and want to grow alongside you. She'll see the life you're creating and want to help you build it. But it all starts with you. It starts with becoming the kind of man who's worth being addicted to. And once you become that man, you'll never have to worry about keeping a woman's attention because you'll be too busy living a life worth paying attention to. So stop trying to figure out how to make her addicted to you and start focusing on becoming addicted to your own potential. Because that's where real attraction begins. And that's where lasting relationships are built. Look, the bottom line is this. Women get addicted to men who offer something they can't get anywhere else. And that something isn't about what you do for her. It's about who you are as a person. When you become a man with unshakable self-respect, clear boundaries, genuine purpose, and the confidence to pursue your vision regardless of who's watching, that's when you become irresistible. And the beautiful thing is, once you become that man, you won't need to use these insights to manipulate anyone, because you'll naturally attract the kind of woman who appreciates what you have to offer. So get to work. Become the man you're capable of being, and watch how the world, including the women in it, responds to the energy you bring. Because at the end of the day, you can't fake this kind of attraction. You can't shortcut this kind of connection. You have to earn it by becoming worth it. And trust me when I say the work is worth it. Because once you become the kind of man who naturally creates addiction, you'll never have to chase anyone again. They'll be too busy chasing you.